Okay, so for today's class, we are finishing up with the plant um, adaptations. We finished looking at roots, osmosis, and diffusion last class. So today we're going to look at the stem and the leaves. So let's start by looking at the functions of the stem. Right, so the first function of the stem, it transports water and nutrients between the leaves and the roots. All right, so you've probably heard of xylem before. Xylem carries water and nutrients from the roots up to the leaves. Another function is providing support for the plant. So the leaves need to be supported, so it supports leaves. And also, when the leaves are supported, it ensures that the leaves are receiving enough light to produce food via photosynthesis. Stems are also function as storage for food. So some stems, they store food for the plant. Potatoes, for example, they are actually swollen underground stems, which are known as tubers, and they store starch. Sugar canes are also function for food storage. The sugar cane, which is the stem, it stores food as sugar. All right, so like I talked about xylem already, so xylem transports and stores water and nutrients in vascular plants. So vascular plants contain xylem and phloem. So here in this picture, we see xylem, one-way flow for water and minerals. So from the roots and up the stem to reach the leaves. Then we have phloem. Phloem is responsible for transporting sugars, proteins, and other organic molecules in the plants. So vascular plants, that's why they're able to grow higher than other plants, is because they have xylem and phloem. So vascular plants are able to grow higher than other plants due to the rigidity of the xylem cells, which support the plant. So this outer part of xylem, they're not living, and they provide that rigidity to help support the plant. So here we can see phloem. Phloem, it is two-way movement. So we see the food that's produced by photosynthesis, the sugar, the glucose that's produced, it is going to be traveling both ways in the phloem. All right, so we'll just take a look at a couple of these videos on xylem and phloem. So here we're looking at different types of stems. So here in this first image we have strawberry plant. The stems of strawberry plants, they grow horizontally on the ground. It's called a runner. At various spots along the stem, roots begin to grow. These are corms, they're underground stems. Cattails, they have these fleshy horizontal stems that are called rhizomes. It allows the plant to spread underground. And then here we have cacti. They have flattened stems, and that adaptation is very important because they need to preserve water, because cacti are usually growing in like desert environments. So that adaptation, that flattened stem, it allows part of the plant to face away from the sun, and that'll help preserve water. All right, here looking at the layers of a tree. So the trunk of a tree, which is like the stem. So at the very center, you have the heartwood. It's dead wood in the center of the tree. It gives the tree its strength. So next is the xylem that we were talking about, which carries the water and nutrients from the roots up to the leaves. And as new layers develop, that inner layer will die and become heartwood. C is the cambium. It's the growing part of the trunk. Each year, it'll produce new phloem and xylem. Part D here is the phloem. That's the layer that carries the sugars from the leaves to the rest of the tree. And as those cells die, they become part of the outer bark. And E is the outer bark, the woody skin. That stops the tree from drying out. It protects and insulates the tree. All right, so next we're going to talk about leaves. These are the energy producers of the plants. They contain the pigment called chlorophyll, which makes them green, and photosynthesis occurs in the leaves. So you may have seen this equation before for photosynthesis. We have carbon dioxide plus water plus the sunlight plus any nutrients that are dissolved in the water to produce sugar and oxygen. So gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen are able to enter and leave the plant through these little openings in the leaves called stomata. And I'll show you a picture in a second. But we also have guard cells which surround the stomata. Singular is stoma, and plural, I believe, is stomata, I believe. Or maybe it's the other way around. But basically, these guard cells that surround the stomata, they're going to regulate how much comes in and goes out. And I did have a diagram here of a leaf. All right, so here would be the top layer of the leaf, and underneath the leaf, here are those tiny openings called the stomata, and then these structures surrounding that stomata are the guard cells. All right, so carbon dioxide can enter through those holes, and oxygen is able to leave through those holes as well. But at the same time, we have water leaving as well. And we'll talk about that in a second. So here we'll pause and watch this video on the structure of the leaf. Okay, so just looking at the stomata in a little bit more detail, the stomata and the guard cells. So like we saw in the video, gases like carbon dioxide and oxygen, they're going to enter and leave the plant through those little openings in the bottom of the leaves called the stomata. All right, so these are the openings right here, as well right here and in here. Those are the openings called the stomata. And then the guard cells, which kind of look like lips, those are the guard cells. Okay, they surround the stoma and they regulate how much comes and goes. So if we look at this diagram here of the stoma open, okay, it's nice and open here. The guard cells are swollen. So when the guard cells are swollen like that, the stoma is open, and gases can enter and leave, but at the same time, so can water. Here, when the guard cells are shrunken, the stoma is closed. All right, so it's closed here now. You're not going to have any exchange of gases, and also water can't leave through the leaf as well. All right, so the guard cells, these are the cells on the leaf surface. They surround each stoma and they control the size of the opening. So water is moving in and out of the guard cells by osmosis. When water is absorbed, the guard cells, they swell up and the stoma opens. Therefore, carbon dioxide can go in and water vapor can also leave, but so can oxygen. When the guard cells, when they lose water, they relax and the stoma closes. All right, so that process called transpiration, that's the process where there's loss of water from a plant because of evaporation. Right, so do make sure you know that term there, transpiration. So respiration and transpiration. So plants, they do need oxygen as well. So at night, for example, when photosynthesis isn't occurring, respiration is occurring. So the respiration process is the opposite of photosynthesis. So this is the process by which plants are going to release carbon dioxide, but they're going to take in oxygen. And it takes place at night, and it is slower than photosynthesis. And transpiration, like I said, it's the loss of water from a plant through evaporation. But because this is happening, it also acts as a pump using osmosis to keep water moving up from the roots through the stem of the plant and then back up to the leaves. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here and we'll watch this video.